The Hook, August 2, 1947. A British South American Airways Lancastrian plane, named Stardust, is cruising at 24,000 feet over the jagged peaks of the Andes. On board are 6 passengers and 5 crew members, including a legendary RAF pilot. They are only 4 minutes away from their destination in Santiago, Chile. The weather is clear, the engines are humming, and the radio operator is calm. Then, the silence of the cockpit is broken by a Morse code transmission that would become the greatest enigma in aviation history. 7 letters, STENDC. The message was so strange the tower asked for a repeat. The operator sent it 2 more times, clearly and rhythmically, and then Stardust vanished. Not just from the radar, but from the very fabric of the world. For 50 years, not a single bolt, wingtip, or body was found. This is the real fact of the 50-year glitch. The secret passenger list. When a plane disappears, investigators look at the manifest. Stardust wasn't just any commercial flight. On board was Paul Simpson, a British civil servant acting as a diplomatic courier. He was carrying a heavy briefcase filled with secret documents for the British Embassy in Santiago. Rumors immediately ignited. Was the plane sabotaged by spies? Was it carrying Nazi gold or stolen technology from the end of World War II? Also on board were 2 wealthy businessmen, a Palestinian returning home and a grieving widow. The diversity of the passengers and the presence of secret government documents meant the search was not just a rescue mission. It was a matter of national security. Yet despite the British and Chilean militaries scouring the mountains for months, they found nothing. No smoke trails, no oil slicks on the snow, and no debris. It was as if the plane had been erased mid-flight. The 50-year reappearance. The glitch finally broke in 1998. 2 mountain climbers on Mount Tupungato, a massive volcano in the Andes, spotted something glinting in the ice. It was a piece of metal. Then they found a tire with Dunlop written on it. Finally, a tattered piece of clothing. The glacier was vomiting the stardust back into the world. The real fact of the crash site was impossible to ignore. The plane hadn't crashed into the side of the mountain. It had impacted a vertical wall of ice nearly 20 miles off its flight path. The sheer force of the impact triggered an avalanche that buried the plane instantly. Over the next 5 decades, the plane became a part of the glacier, moving slowly down the mountain inside a tomb of ice. But this raised a terrifying question. If they were 20 miles off course and flying directly into a mountain, why did the pilot tell the tower they were only 4 minutes from landing? The Stendec enigma. This is where the story enters the matrix. Cryptographers, linguists, and military codebreakers have spent 80 years trying to figure out what Stendec means. It isn't an English word. It isn't a Spanish word. It isn't an official Morse code abbreviation. Some theorists believe it was a typo for straight shorthand for straight in landing. Others suggest it was an acronym. Severe turbulence encountered, now descending, emergency concluded. But the radio operator, Dennis Harmer, was an elite professional. He sent the message 3 times. He didn't sound panicked. He sent it with a steady hand. In 2026, many believe the word wasn't a message for the tower, but a description of what the crew was seeing. Did they see a craft? A portal? Or did they enter a state of hypoxia, where the brain loses oxygen and starts inventing its own language? The 2026 verdict, the jet stream theory today. We have a scientific explanation that is almost as weird as a time slip. In 1947, pilots didn't know about the jet stream high-altitude winds that can blow at over 200 miles per hour. Scientists now believe dust flew directly into a headwind so powerful that while the engines were moving the plane forward at 300 miles per hour, the wind was pushing it back at 200 miles per hour. The pilots thought they had traveled far enough to be over the airport, but the glitch in the wind had kept them trapped over the mountains. They began their descent into what they thought was the runway, only to fly directly into a wall of solid ice at full speed. Whether it was a failure of science or a message from another dimension, the word Stendec remains the final, unsolved whisper of 11 people who spent 50 years frozen in time. Please like, subscribe, and follow for more unbelievable real facts.